Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio. And now, here's our host, Dr. Vanessa Anceloni.
Welcome, dear listener, to Kardec Radio. We are here live in the Chantilly studios of Kardec Radio. And we are very happy to be here with you because we are here to nourish your soul. And Kardec Radio today is dedicating the whole program to talk about a very important event, the 25 years of the publishing of the books by Joanna de Angelis, launching a new era in the Spiritist teachings. It's about Spiritist psychology. If you are a psychologist or you want to know more about yourself as a person, these books are fascinating. They talk about us, relationships, and many of them are already translated. For example, The Psychology of Gratitude, After the Storm, Self-Discovery and Inner Search, Family Constellation, Existential Conflict, and a few others that are also coming up in the few years to come. And we are here also to answer to your questions, and you may call us in at 858-769-4705, or you can email kardecradio@gmail.com. Or if you log in now as we are live, we can listen to your comments or questions right here at the chat room of blogtalkradio.com/KardecRadio. We are right here for you. And we have a Facebook page as well, facebook.com/KardecRadio. It's very easy to find us, very easy to talk to us. And by the way, we would like to thank you, all the listeners who have been sending emails, asking questions, sending comments, suggestions. And if you're listening to us now live or later on demand, remember, if you want to volunteer to help us at Kardec Radio, we have lots of things to be done. We will be very happy to receive your help, as well as if you want to help in the team of the Spiritist magazine. By the way, the Spiritist magazine can be found for free at thespiritistmagazine.com. It's very easy and very straightforward. Many ways and means to help us out. And, of course, today is September the 20th. And if you are in the Washington, D.C. area, you can still register and participate at the 5th Medical Spiritist meeting organized by the Medical Spiritist Association in the United States. It's happening today and tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. You can go to their website, www.sma/us.org, and you can also, if you are not in the area, if you're elsewhere in the United States or around the world, you can connect with them at the website through the webcasting online. Just go to their website. They have a link to the webcasting. If you have any questions, just talk to us right now. And Allan Kardec himself talked about the very fact that to understand the human mind, to understand how we are and who we are, we really need to make sure that we are aligned with the teachings of psychology. Yes, Kardec said that the phenomena of Spiritism, explained by Spiritism, will certainly shed some light in the understanding of the mind. That's why Joanna de Angelis, years later, decades later, actually brought to us through the medium Divaldo Franco the understanding that we are what we are. What is the unconscious? What is the relationships that we have with people? What about the role of reincarnation and spirits who may interfere in our relationships as well? How does this all happen? Well, Spiritist psychology can answer to all those questions. And Joanna de Angelis says in her first book from the series, do not forget that the goodness that you do is the only work that does good to you. And this work in benefit to others is actually charity towards our own selves, liberating us so we can help the world. Dear listener, we're also going to make comments about a beautiful event that we're able to participate. Carlos Diaz and I, with other friends and family, were able to participate in the celebration of the 25 years of the psychological series of Joanna de Angelis, which was held in Bahia, Brazil, and organized by Divaldo Franco and his team, which happened in 4 days at a beautiful location, and it was really surreal because it was heaven on earth. We are going to talk about this and much, much more with you after the break. And we have a friend who is waiting for us on the line to talk to us right after the break. Just wait for us. We're going to kickstart the program with Joanna de Angelis' message entitled Always in Peace, and you can find this message in written form or audio format in the book and CD Living and Loving by Joanna de Angelis through Divaldo Franco. Just go to the website of the Spiritist Society of Baltimore and get your copy today. It's www.ssbaltimore.org/bookstore. Remember, you can bring that CD, play while you're driving, and your drive is going to be much more peaceful. Always in peace. After the break, much more about Joanna de Angelis in the Spiritist Psychology.
Chapter 17, Always in Peace.
The violence that alarms mankind and bewilders the whole planet springs from the hidden aggressiveness within the hearts of people. It generates both instability and unhappiness. Any display of evil produces unexpected reactions that may lead to hopelessness and belligerence. Jesus advised, "Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation." It was a warning to remind us to keep a balanced attitude and attend to our duties. Whatever the circumstances you might be struggling against, keep your peace. Be stern, but avoid rudeness. Enforce discipline, but avert violence. Promote education, but oppose aggressiveness. Whatever you do, do it peacefully. When mistreated or suffering, hold your peace at all costs so that you may keep your tranquility. Jesus was always calm, ineffable, and serene, regardless of circumstances around him. Real peace is rooted in absolute confidence in God. Remain undisturbed, do all the good you can, and do not line up with those who complain, are violent, or unreasonable. Your peace reveals your life as much as the way you live affects the environment around you.
We will return to our program after these messages.
Getting to the Light, Spiritist Therapy for Discarnate Spirits is a small book that offers guidance to Spiritist practitioners and Spiritist counselors. Purchase your copy at www.ssbaltimore.org.
Nourish Your Soul with Kardec Radio.
If you missed out on a previous shows, no worries. We have an on-demand section of all previous shows and interviews. Go to our website at www.kardecradio.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Help prevent suicide by reading and sharing these books with others. 2 great books are available to help in this Kardec Radio campaign to prevent suicide. Suicide, All You Need to Know, by the international Spiritist speaker Richard Simonetti. You can buy your copy at www.roundtablepublishing-uk.com. Also, Memoirs of a Suicide by the medium Yvonne Pereda. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Kardec Radio, live every Saturday at 11 a.m.
Kardec Radio now offers more programs during the week and weekends. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can follow the beautiful program God at Home with Francisca Kranz and the British Spiritist community. They will brighten your days by doing a God at Home meeting wherever you are in the world, while teaching you how to do the same in your own home with your family and friends. Every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will hear incredibly inspirational Spiritist talks directly broadcasted by Spiritist Network. They will be true educational moments to carry out to immortality. Every Saturday, live interviews Bridging Health and Spiritism with the host Dr. Vanessa Anceloni. You may ask questions to the interviewed guests by calling 858-769-4705. And every Sunday, tune in to Spiritist Awareness at Kardec Radio. You will hear a series of segments on a diversity of Spiritist topics. Kardec will broadcast the Spiritist Moment with Kirsten DeMello, the reading of the Spiritist book by John DeRosa and Steve Shepard, Spiritism in Your Life with Drs. Marco and Joyce Magalhães, Spiritism and the Gospel with Luis Sergio Marotta, Spiritist Education for Youth and Children with Bernadette Leal, Spiritist Music with James Marotta, Neuroscience and Spiritism with Dr. Vanessa Anceloni, and many more segments coming soon. Enjoy it all and nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
And now we return to our program.
Dear listener, we are here today to talk about a new moment in the Spiritist movement when Joanna de Angelis, the experimenter of Divaldo Franco, the renowned medium who is 87 years of age and is traveling around the world. Each and every day he's somewhere giving talks, consolation, counseling people, etc., etc. And he is also a medium who helps thousands, millions of people around the world, and he also receives messages from spirits such as Joanna de Angelis, and has written more than 200 books. Not that he wrote himself, but he was the medium of the spirit writing, Joanna de Angelis and many other spirits. Joanna de Angelis herself, as an illuminated mind, one of the illuminated spirits on the planet Earth, she has brought to us something that is groundbreaking, an understanding of the mind that aligns psychology and spiritism. What else do we need, right? And you can read these books because they are not only in Portuguese or Spanish or in French, they are also in many other languages, including English. Not all of them, but many of them. For example, existential conflict, family constellation, self-discovery and inner search, after the storm, the psychology of gratitude, and many others. And we're going to talk about this in the event that happened in celebration to it in Brazil in mid-August, and we were there. We're very grateful to Divaldo Franco and delighted with the opportunity of working and also learning. But before we open it, we would like to talk to you, dear listener. We have here a listener, Latoya from Atlanta, Georgia. She's here to talk to us at Kardec Radio. Thank you so much, Latoya, for being with us today at Kardec Radio.
You're welcome.
Latoya, you said you were calling in because you have a question for us. What would you like to have addressed?
My relationship.
How can we help you?
I'm just trying to see, like, every time, I get involved with somebody, at first, I don't, let them, in. But when I do give in, it's like I'm the one always getting my heart broken. Like, far as, and, when I love them, then they just, like, break away from me. Like, every time I, begin a relationship with someone.
And right now, are you in a relationship?
Well, I was just in a relationship with someone.
And but Latoya, the thing is this: Joanna de Angelis herself, in the Spiritist psychology, she shares with us, before we enter any relationship, we needed to verify how our relationship with ourselves is doing. How do you think your relationship with yourself is doing?
I think it's going well. I'm trying to, like, understand, like, when, I tell them what I want, and, they tell me what they're looking for, and then once I open up to them completely, and then that's when they break away.
Okay, so you open too much, and they are probably scared. They go away.
Right.
So do you feel? So that's the one point. The one point is, do you expect too much from such relationships?
No.
No. Okay. The thing is, we are millennial beings, meaning we have lived many lives, right? You accept the concept of reincarnation. Do you?
Right.
Okay, so we have lived many lives. We needed to do this inner search. When Allan Kardec, in the book, the Spirit's book, asks, what can we do to prevent problems in our lives, to actually, avoid engaging in wrongdoings or mistakes, etc. And the answer of the illuminated spirits was, get to know yourself. So how much do we know of ourselves? Because we forget about the past. But is it possible that previous lives may be impacting us in some way, in a pattern? That's very likely at some point, And there is also the fact that there may be spirits interfering. But we would say, Latoya, the most important thing is the very present. You are empowered by the gift of being here today, living this reincarnation. So the center of our power and control is within our minds. Even if there are other reincarnations or other spirits interfering, you can always give another step into self-love.
Right.
And this is exactly what Joanna de Angelis tells us. If we ask ourselves, Latoya, how much do I love myself, in the sense of, do I really forgive myself when I make mistakes? Do I really like the way I am? And I'm talking about beyond the physical body, about my traits. And this is not selfishness or either narcissism. We're talking about appreciating ourselves as children of God, meaning, how much do I really like about myself? Don't you think there's always an opportunity to go deeper in that regard?
Right.
Right?
Exactly. Right. And I do. And it's just, I don't know if it's me or the person that I get with, but, I do, ask myself that, when I do make mistakes, I forgive myself and be like, we humans, we make mistakes. It's just, I don't know.
Exactly. But what comes to my mind, Latoya, is I think there is a book by Joanna de Angelis that will be very beneficial to you at this point regarding the very question you're asking about, is the book Existential Conflict, because there we'll find many things to be addressed. And I like the book because at the end of every chapter, it not only addresses the conflict, but it gives us practical tips to apply in our daily lives and really heal ourselves at many different levels. So we would say, how about if you get the book, take a look at it, and then you can call Kardec Radio another time to give us a feedback about if, specific things that probably you found out about the issues that are impacting your relationships. And I'm not saying it's a problem in you. We're just commenting that probably there are expectations that are not met. The way we are seeing things, that we're perceiving the world. For example, if I give you an example, Latoya, if I show you a pen, and, maybe I'm going to ask you, oh, Latoya, what do you think this is? And you say, oh, of course it's a pen. But what if I say, no, this is not a pen, it's disguised as a pen, but actually is a camera? Nowadays people have actually pens that are actually cameras. So...
Right, so how do you see that pen?
Exactly. So we're talking about perception. Sometimes we look at somebody and we think, man, this person is exactly like I thought, somebody should be, to be together, to develop a family, a relationship, even friendship. But then as you get to know more deeply, you found out that it's not exactly how you perceived at first. So why is there that mismatch? We're going to read in Joanna de Angelis' book the reasons why such things may happen and things that can actually be done to address such perceptual mismatches, to make sure that we become, that we refine our perception so we don't waste too much time in situations that are misguiding us. You know what I mean? Does it make sense to you?
Right.
Right? So how about if you get the book and then after, if you send us your address, we can mail the book to you, or you can buy directly at some websites that I know of, and you can get a copy of it if you want to, and talk to Kardec Radio and another program if you want to.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Latoya. We hope you have a good weekend, okay?
You too. Thank you.
Many blessings. So, dear listener, here we are. Latoya, God bless your heart. Thank you so much for your trust and for your patience. We really hope everything goes well there. And, dear listener, you can also call us and ask questions, and we'll be happy to listen from you. Latoya is from Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, and we are talking about how Joanna de Angelis' books can also be very, very, very helpful. For example, in the book Family Constellation, Joanna de Angelis tells us beautiful things about how we can educate our children, how we can interact with family members, how we can deal with, problems regarding addictions, drug addictions, tragedies, and many, many, many other things. Well, as Joanna de Angelis says, children almost always planned as part of the family organization sometimes become ornaments to display to friends or guarantee for the convergence of the material inheritance when death takes the parents, ready or not, for the great beyond. And she talks about problems in the family integration when we are not so sure about why we are forming families. Many people are forming families just because they think it's a seal of maturity. Well, maturity is something that cannot be vouched outside in. It's something inside out. Well, you may be asking also about what happened in Brazil in the very event to celebrate the psychological series by Joanna de Angelis. 4 days, beautiful days. August the 14th, August the 15th, 16th, and 17th. Vivaldo Franco really created a new pattern for people to get together because it's an event like a retreat, spiritual retreat. And we would recommend go to this event if you speak Portuguese or Spanish, of course. Every year, mid-August, Divaldo Franco is there for 3-4 days, from beginning to end, morning, afternoon, and evening for the 4 days. And I tell you, he doesn't have an entourage to block your way to talk to him at all. He is there available to talk to you. And it's fascinating because the event opened on the evening of the 14th of August. Divaldo Franco gave the welcoming greetings, and later, after a musical presentation, he actually opened the first activity, which was like a session of the God at Home, or what we call the Gospel at Home, together with the whole public. He had guests, and amongst them, he had Marcelo Nero, who is in the Spiritist movement in the United States in Florida, who was present and participating as a guest at that very, very event. It was beautiful because he was reading a message, Divaldo Franco, from the Gospel According to Spiritism, as we're celebrating 150 years of the Gospel According to Spiritism. He was reading a message titled about Spiritists, being Spiritists, what it means. And it was so beautiful because each and every invited speaker, and I say speaker because they were sharing a few minutes with the whole public, they were talking about, how things are in regard to being Spiritist. An important thing is to be charitable. And in the next day, in the morning, after the opening, something quite amazing happened. The event was really crowned with a beautiful launching of a special Brazilian stamp, a national stamp, about the 25 years of the psychological series of Joanna de Angelis. Can you believe it? The Brazilian postal office actually launched a specific stamp about the celebration of the 25 years. This is how Brazil is really embracing Spiritism, really changing the social dynamics of it. And after a break, Divaldo Franco gave a talk about the series on Joanna de Angelis, and something quite interesting. He was talking about how we often use masks, armor, and we disguise in these masks and armor, and at the end of the day, we barely know who we are. Are we the mask we are using, or are we ourselves? So he was doing a dynamic, like an activity, so we could, through a story, he was telling everyone in an activity in which each and every person received a number of 3 different castles, and the castles were about either introspection in silence, or somebody who needed more courage to go after their goals, etc. So people were really in charge of doing an inner journey through the whole talk, as he was guiding us into that greater understanding, which was fascinating. In the afternoon, we, myself, and other 2 psychologists as well, Dr. Marlon Reykendal and Gelson Roberto, we were sharing a roundtable discussion about self-discovery according to the teachings of Spiritism and Joanna de Angelis' Spiritist psychology. After the break, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we discussed at that very roundtable.
We will return to our program after these messages.
New release, Liberation. In this compelling narrative, André Louise emphasizes the work of high-order spirits in the effort to convert the spirit Gregorio to the good, an effort that culminates with the unforgettable re-encounter with his mother, herself a highly evolved spirit, wherein he surrenders to the irresistible call of love. The book also contains information on how unhappy spirits act as they try to involve incarnates in their wiles. The spirit author tells of the intercession of high-order spirits on behalf of human beings, demonstrating the divine compassion that grants to all the blessed opportunity to free themselves by means of study, labor, and persevering service in the practice of the good. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Want Spiritist books for your children? At Edicei of America, you will find a collection of them. From the best-selling book, Our Father, in which the Spirit Mei Mei through Chico Xavier brought countless poems, stories, and folk tales based on the Lord's Prayer, to the beautiful and educational collection by the author Adelison Sales on Back to School and many others. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
If you missed out on previous shows, no worries. We have an on-demand sections of all previous shows and interviews. Go to our website, www.kardecradio.com.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
Spiritism for Everyone is the live web study meeting and educational program of the United States Spiritist Council. This year, in commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the Gospel according to Spiritism, the Spiritism for Everyone program will present an in-depth study of this remarkable book. Join us every Wednesday evening through the web from any computer or mobile device, no matter where you are in the U.S. Spiritism for Everyone is free, open to all, and requires no registration. For more information, go to www.spiritist.us.
And now we return to our program.
Dear listener, we are here talking about Spiritist psychology. Yes, Allan Kardec himself talked in 1857 that once the Spiritist teachings were coming through, they would shed light in all the phenomenon of the mind. And this is so true. Do you know, in the upcoming issue of the Spiritist magazine, you will be able to read more about an unexclusive interview, actually, by Divaldo Franco to the Spiritist magazine, dedicated to the 25 years of the series of the books by Joanna de Angelis. And you can buy the books, the whole series, in hardcover, specially made for this, in Portuguese, okay, at the Mention of the Way website, mansãodocaminho.com.br. And if you want to buy it in English, some of the books are already available. You can email Kardec Radio or go to kardecradio.com, our contact form, and we'll tell you exactly where you can buy the books in English by Joanna de Angelis. Well, before the break, we were talking to Latoya in Atlanta, Georgia. She was asking us about the relationships and problems in relationships. We were recommending the reading of the book Existential Conflicts as, you know, some enlightenment in that regard. If you, dear listener, also have a question or comment, you can contact us either here live or later by also sending us an email at kardecradio@gmail.com. Well, right now at the chat room of Kardec Radio, we want to listen from you. You know, we are here living this reincarnation. Many people are going through tough problems nowadays. And it's a special time on the earth. You know it. It's a special time in which things are becoming very paradoxical if in ways life is becoming easier, materially speaking, in the sense of many gadgets, electronics, technology, at the same time, emotionally speaking, we're becoming ever more challenged because life is becoming more complex. So complex that it's global. We are not even located in a specific place anymore, because if you have internet, you can be in your very city and at the same time everywhere else in the world simultaneously, like we are doing right now at Kardec Radio. We are here physically present, but also elsewhere in the world, as Kardec Radio is in more than 61 countries. And some people get very confused, especially when we're talking about parenting. It becomes quite challenging, because what is right to do? Some people don't know anymore. How can science explain everything? Science cannot explain everything yet, but Spiritism can certainly give us direction. The beginning for us, the safe haven, is in God. And we'll find it when we talk about self-discovery, when we want to know more about ourselves. As Kardec asked this question to the spirits in the Spirit's book, and we were mentioning to Latoya before the break. When Kardec asks, what can we do to avoid making mistakes, to avoid engaging in wrongdoings? Actually, they say, we need to know ourselves. So how do we do this inner transformation, this inner journey, this self-discovery, which is actually the title of one of Joanna de Angelis' books, which is already in English. In this self-discovery, first question we are going to ask, who am I? Because when I'm anxious about something, I need to ask myself, who am I to be anxious about this, that, or the other? So I need to ask this very question to myself. And when I get to know that I am a child of God, the second question is, why do I need to be anxious if God is the supreme love of the universe, the supreme intelligence of the universe? Why? I don't need it. So in that self-discovery, I get to know myself, my relationship with God, and then I can really change my whole life. Can't I? Of course I can. And that's exactly some of the things that Dr. Reykdal and Dr. Roberto and myself were talking in this roundtable discussion, the second day of the event that happened in Brazil, the 25 years of the series Joanna de Angelis. We talked about the fact that we need to have courage. Dear listener, how easy is it to look at ourselves in the mirror and accept who we are for the time being? It depends. It's often not easy. That's why so many people, they don't want to even discuss what we're talking about. They listen to this, they're like, they are turned off by it because it's too much. Why do I need? Actually, I need to party, etc. And that's exactly how I run away from myself, by the illusions of life. So in the book, Self-Discovery, as we mentioned in the roundtable discussion, Joanna de Angelis is going to cover, and I'm opening the book right now, talks about who we are as the real being. And that's one of the things we discussed in the very meeting. If we have a physical body, the physical body is just one dimension of us for the time being. But we have a spiritual body, the perispirit, and we also have what? We are spirits. We are spirits, actually. So everything else is a projection of us. And Joanna de Angelis talks about it. If, dear listener, we have to take care of our physical body, hygiene-wise, nourishment, and exercising, question, how do we do the same for us as spirits? How do you cleanse yourself, spiritually speaking? How do you nourish yourself, spiritually speaking? How do you exercise the soul, the muscles of your soul? These dimensions need to be taken care of when we really get to know ourselves. Many people, they are undergoing depression because they are not paying attention to who they truly are. You're not cleansing their thoughts, their feelings. They are not exercising the muscles of the soul, and so on and so forth. You may be asking, really? What does that mean? It means, for example, if I am constantly engaged in negative feelings, negative thoughts, inevitably I am nourishing myself with junk. How am I going to feel? Depressed. Inevitably. So I need to find ways and means to get to know my feelings, to getting to know myself, and so on and so forth. Okay? These are some of the things we discussed there, and you can read this and much more in the book Self-Discovery. In Chapter 6, as we mentioned in our talk during the event with Divaldo Franco in August in Bahia, Brazil, he talks about health program, hope as therapy, and the goal as the very therapy for achieving fullness. And Joanna de Angelis says beautiful words in that regard and gives us a beautiful health program. So it's something that happens from inside out. Okay? As Joanna de Angelis reminds us, bad conversations also can be very detrimental. Nowadays we talk to people and we don't watch out what we are actually talking. We think that just by talking, let's say, people are nowadays talking about, ISIS and the beheading of people around the world. That's very serious, very disturbing. How much of that conversation should we really engage? If I keep only thinking in that direction, how good is that going to do to me or the world? Am I going to change anything in the world just by being outraged and talking about it day in, day out? No. What can I do? Pray. Prayer can be very cleansing, can be very strengthening, nourishing. Reading good books such as Joanna de Angelis' books. She has a cute little book with inspirational messages. Happy Life, Living and Loving, Child of God, Recipes for Peace, beautiful books. You can get them at the bookstore of the Spiritist out of Baltimore and get to know more about it. And the exercise of the soul, the ultimate exercise, is charity. Doing good to others, unconditionally and without restriction. We're now going to answer a question by our dear friend, Corina Menezes, who is in South Virginia. How do we filter out all the occurrences taking place in the world, and at the same time we can nourish ourselves and maintain our center in balance? Exactly how we just mentioned, Karina. We were talking about the fact, these events are happening and many people are paying attention to these news without actually filtering, as you mentioned. That's a good term. We need to filter. Running away from the news is not good. We have to get to know of it. For example, the other day we got to know of the punching of Ray Rice's wife. He punched his then fiancée, now wife. And what do we do with the story? It's a story to talk to friends, people think. Hey, remember, when you're talking, you're eating the words, you're eating the energy, you're nourishing yourself. How much of that actually does good to you? It doesn't. How can we actually filter it? Praying. For example, a month ago, Robin Williams killed himself. People were shocked. Of course we were shocked. But what could we do? Pray. Pray, because he's a child of God like we are. He is not dead. He found out he's still living. But dear listener, we need to ponder that many people commit mistakes because they are not aware of what's happening to them. Obsession can take over. Spirits can really take over if we don't watch out. So we say, pay attention. As Karina asks, and we answer, filter with prayers. Filter by focusing on what good can I do today? As Brother X says through Chico Xavier in one of his books, we need to do as much good as possible every day if we want to prepare for a good transition from this life to the spiritual realm, meaning preparation for death. And to be in balance, we need to meditate every day, at least 5, 10, 15 minutes a day. Do visualizations. Learn to breathe in correctly and ground ourselves with our physical body. Sometimes people's minds are everywhere and elsewhere, and I teach my students as well. I tell them, Dr. Herbert Benson from Harvard University has taught us how to engage in the relaxation response. He was here at Kardec Radio earlier this year, and he says, breathing deeply, inflating your abdominal region until you feel the inflating of your chest. Hold it for a few seconds and breathe out slowly, deflating from chest to abdomen, very slowly, like this. In that way, whatever is happening to your mind at that moment, anxiety, anger, sadness, you're going to reset. The body is a blessing. God gave us the body, living body, to ground us to new learning. So use your new breathing pattern in that regard. Dear listener, we're going to give another short break, and when we come back, we're going to tell you about what happened in the next day of the event with Joanna de Angelis, with Evaldo Franco, about Joanna de Angelis Psychological Series, here at Kardec Radio.
We will return to our program after these messages.
Books of Andre Luis. Through the hands of the most prolific medium of all times, Chico Xavier, the spirit doctor Andre Luis wrote a series of books that unveil the mechanisms of life and life after life. From the best-selling novel No Solar, Our Home, to And Life Goes On, the reader will find illumination for a fulfilled life on Earth as well as immortal happiness. Check the many titles available at the international distributor, EDI CEI of America. Their website is www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Spiritist Network, your gateway to on-demand Spiritist videos. www.spiritistnetwork.com.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio. Traveling to another country? Immigrating elsewhere? Prepare yourself by reading the book Among Brothers of Other Lands, in which several loving and wise spirits wrote through the hands of Chico Xavier and Waldo Vieira, telling all of us the tips and hints of a successful transition to a new land. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Do you want Spiritist books for your children? At Edicei of America, you'll find a collection of them, from the best-selling book Our Father, in which the Spirit Mei Mei, through Chico Xavier, brought countless poems, stories, and folk tales based on the Lord's Prayer, to the beautiful and educational collection by the author Adailson Salles on Back to School and many others. Buy your copy today at www.adaseofamerica.com.
And now we return to our program.
Dear listener, we are back, and we're back to talk about Spiritist psychology. You know, Joanna de Angelis, this phenomenal spirit who, through Chico Xavier, has been enlightening our minds. She published her first book on the series of psychology 25 years ago, and we are celebrating it after 16 books. And you can get the books in Portuguese, and you can get it in Spanish and also in English. Not all of them, but many of them in English as well. And we were in August in Bahia with Divaldo Franco in the very event that he prepared to celebrate it. 4 days. It was a spiritual retreat at a beautiful location where many people from around the world were discussing the very themes of Spiritist psychology. When Allan Kardec mentions that once Spiritism comes, it will shed light in the comprehension of the human mind, the psychology of us. Divaldo Franco was there from beginning to end, coordinating every single activity. It was unbelievable. And thank you, Karina, for giving us a feedback about the very question. When you say that prayer does heal and calms the soul, I have personally experienced that. Thank you for the insight. Thank you, Karina, for your important question and for your comment as well. We are here with Albita, our dear friend, Alba Morales from the Spiritist out of Baltimore. She is here with us and she has a comment to share. Thank you, Albita, for calling us. How are you?
I'm pretty good, Vanessa. Thank you for having me in the program.
Wonderful. So you had a comment.
I have a comment about Joanna de Angelis, which is our Therapists for Excellence. With each book that you read, it's like having an in-depth session of therapists with her. And even when you connect with her in prayers, this is a free therapy. But today I would like to make a comment about a specific chapter in the book Family Constellation. Since we are in a world of transition, and you already mentioned in the program how about mental illness. It is the illness of the century, and it's very subtle, and it's in silence. It doesn't have like obvious signs like a diabetes or cancer, but it's a illness of the mind, an illness of the soul. And we need to get all the resources that are out there, traditional therapies, medicine, and of course we need to consider the spirit, since it's an illness of the mind, of the spirit.
Yes.
So Joanna, in chapter 19 in Family Constellation, she talks about behavioral disorders in the family. And I have found so much hope in this chapter specifically because all of us, we have family, friends, relatives that are undergoing a mental illness, or even ourselves. And we ask to ourselves, I'm taking my medicine, I'm doing the therapy, I'm doing everything that I need to do. What else can I do? Why I am not improving? And of course, this has to be also with a topic that is well explained, the Spirit's book about obsession and our relationship with the spirit world. But Joanna give us here the medicine, the spiritual medicine that we can apply when we are undergoing these situations. And I'm going to read, it's just a short sentence for all of you to say, the most efficacious therapy, along with prayer, is unshakable patience from all of those who are forced to deal with the infirmity, involving the sick individual in waves of peace, so the chains that bind him to the avenger can be broken. Meaning, one more time. Prayer, being patient, having patience, and charity, again, once more, is here, the medicine. So when we work all these elements together, attending the physical body, attending the mind and the soul, we will obtain better results. This means, my family member is going to be healed miraculously. Well, no, we don't know, right?
We don't know.
But we have the resources at hand, and I found this is very inspirational.
That's beautiful, Beta. Thank you so much. As you said, the problems of the mind, the problems of the spirit can also impact in this reincarnation. So trying to understand mental health from a spiritual perspective is probably the only way for us to get clarification and also to heal it, right? Because then the approach is totally different, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's correct.
Thank you so much, Albita. We loved to hear from you, and we'd like to have you more often here. Thank you so much, Alba.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Many blessings. Is this Monique?
Yes.
Hi, Monique. You're here live at Kardec Radio. Welcome.
Vanessa, how are you?
Good, and you?
I'm doing good. I'm glad I got to be. I didn't know if I was going to be answered.
Oh, you are. So you have a question or a
funny
comment?
Because I called to ask a question regarding mental illness, and she just mentioned it. It was so, what a coincidence.
Yes, but it's a very important topic. If you want to make a comment or a question about it, we can address the different features as well.
Yeah. I've listened before to one of your talk radios, and actually you had a whole lesson about autism. And I have a son who's autistic. He's 4 years old, and he's been improving a lot with a lot of therapy that he gets every day. Mm-hmm. But it seems like, we can't, he's more connected to his father than to me.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes it makes me really frustrated because I can't really connect with him.
Okay. How old is he now? 4?
Yeah, he's 4. I try, I try, sit down and play. It's just like he cannot get his attention to me. He just runs away. He'll come to me for, things that he needs, like food and bath. We can get all of that done. It's just, the connection. He'll come and he'll hug me, he'll kiss me, but it's very quick. I can't really feel, what he's thinking, or I can't really connect. It's like it's not a mutual relationship. It's always me trying, and it seems like it's not that I can't really feel anything back.
The beauty, Monique, thank you so much for sharing. I know it's very emotional for you, but Monique, we can't forget, first, as a mother, he is your biological son, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the fact that as a spirit he reincarnated through you biologically, it means that your perispirit and his perispirit, both your spiritual bodies, were so interconnected during pregnancy and actually throughout the first years of life, so interconnected that even though maybe issues from previous lives may be still present, they are very minimized because you were able to gestate him and he was able to be with you through that time. You can regain your confidence in your relationship with him by recalling the fact that he was within you, physically speaking, under your energy field. He was inside of your energy field in such a way that he can't escape away. But there is another thing you can do as well. very practical according to the Spiritist teachings. Whatever happened in the past, we don't know. If we forgot it, that's the best way to go, as says the Gospel. Forgetfulness of the past is a blessing of God. But we have tips and hints about it. So if by any chance he's escaping away, either because he's ashamed, because we don't know the spirit, we're talking about the spirit, not your son, but the spirit that reincarnated as your son, you can do what we call intelligent sleep. So before you go to sleep, you say a prayer, asking your guardian angels to kindly bring you with your son and your husband to a spiritual clinic where therapists can actually treat the family group into healing. Okay? They are going to treat yourselves as spirits, not as the mother and the son. So whatever happens in previous lives, as Leon Denis says, our memories of the past are imprinted in our spiritual body. They may push buttons on us unconsciously and make us behave in a certain way, like you're saying. But we can reorganize these files and, really file them so they're not going to be bothering us during this reincarnation. So you can ask the spirit mentors to help you and your son, and you can ask also the help of your husband, so you guys together as family group can heal those files and really file them so they're not going to be bothering them. And you can repeat as many times as you can while he's at sleep, whisper, "You are light, you are health, I love you." And you repeat it every night, "I love you." And you can repeat it. It's going to be imprinted deeply in his spiritual mind, and one day he will also be free from any content that is blocking your relationship. Does that make sense?
Yes, a lot of sense. Thank you. My grandmother, who's also Spiritist, this year I was just in Brazil visiting, and she said that he is going to surprise me a lot this year, that she sees, a light. So, we're really working on everything with him this year, on our relationship, in therapy. So, but thank you so much for the advice.
You're
thank you so
welcome.
For answering your question.
Thank you, Monique, and we'll be praying as well. We know God provides, and you're a child of God. You will find a pathway. Okay, count on our support as well.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you. So, dear listener, remember, as Monique kindly shared her beautiful and moving story here with us, let us pray. At the very end of the program, after this next break, we're going to pray together, because prayer can be healing too. And when we pray for one another, because we need each other, dear listener, we need each other. We are all children of God. We matter to one another. So let us pray. And remember, the book, Existential Conflicts, has lots of tips and hints about ourselves. In the last days of the meeting with Divaldo Franco, he talked about this very fact, psychological conflicts. And later there was a roundtable discussion by psychologists, Cristiane Beira, Dr. Sinodi, Claudia Sinodi, and Iris Sinodi. They were talking about the search for existential meaning. It was deeply meaningful, as I can say this way. And they relied upon Kardec's teachings and Joanna de Angelis' development of it. And on the last evening, Divaldo Franco and I wrapped up the days of the event with understanding about emotional administration for integral health. It was really beautiful. If you understand Portuguese, you can buy the DVDs of the event at the website of the Mansion of the Way. Just go to mansãodocaminho.com.br, and I say this in Portuguese because that's the only way you're going to get to the website and to the understanding of these teachings that were in the DVDs. But if you want it in English, remember, at the Spiritist side of Baltimore, we have several of Joanna de Angelis books, and you can get a hold of it at www.ssbaltimore.org. After the last break, we're going to share a few more news. And if you have questions, we're still here. If you have comments, we're still here. And at the very end, a prayer. Prayer for the inner search and for helping one another.
We will return to our program after these messages. Want to learn more about the ins and outs of mediumship? The book In the Realms of Mediumship by the Spirit Dr. Andre Luiz through the medium Chico Xavier analyzes the various aspects of mediumistic communication and mediumship. He also praises the efforts of mediums who are faithful to the spiritual mandate they received before they reincarnated, warning them about the risks of badly practiced exchanges between the two worlds. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
The Spiritist magazine is a trimestral, digital periodical that publishes the latest news on the Spiritist thought and the movement in the USA and worldwide at www.spiritistmagazine.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Study Spiritism online at eSpiritism. eSpiritism is an online tool to promote the study and practice of Spiritism while contributing to the preparation of Spiritist practitioners. For full access to courses, go to www.e-spiritism.org.
If you missed out on any previous shows, no worries. We have an on-demand section of all previous shows and interviews. Go to our website at www.kardecradio.com.
Emmanuel's Novels. The reputable mentor, Emmanuel, wrote a 5-book series of Spiritist novels that can truly transform your life. Starting with 2,000 Years Ago, Emmanuel delights our minds with the true account of characters that are so similar to each of us. Discover yourself in Emmanuel's novels and live better. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com. And now we return to our program.
Dear listener, this is the last part of the program today at Kardec Radio, and we're talking about the 25 years Spiritist Psychology by Joanna de Angelis. It's very consoling. When Spiritism comes as the Promised Consoler, here in Joanna de Angelis books, we find the Promised Consoler. No wonder, when we celebrate 25 years of the Spiritist Psychology, we also celebrate 150 years of the Gospel according to Spiritism, because these teachings are consoling us when we get to know that life is an ever unfolding of progress. We'll never give up on ourselves, dear listener. Many people, they engage into these destructive behaviors against themselves, either overeating, smoking, drinking alcohol, playing dangerously, or whatever else is there, even quitting life at once. And they forget that we are progressing. Everything passes, dear listener. If life is tricky today, remember, you're not alone. It's valid to cry. It's valid to talk to friends and find help, but it's never valid to quit. There's no reason. There is no reason. Remember, if we're going through a tough time now, we have been tough times before. We have been through them, and we overcame them in a way. Why wouldn't we overcome them in the new phase of this life? So we can't give up. And that's one of the things that was discussed also in this encounter with Divaldo Franco in Brazil in mid-August. There is a book named The Life Challenges and Solutions by Joanna de Angelis, in which she talks about the fact that we'll find balance once we know more about ourselves. And she says we need to strive to find balance. And balance begins with us. Sometimes we want balance and we want our partners to be balanced, our boss, our neighbor, our child, and we forget that balance comes within. You know, even if everyone around us is balanced, if we don't strive to be balanced, we won't. How can we prove it? Look at Jesus. Jesus was completely balanced. Look at Judas. He was living with Jesus, and he could not balance himself. Why? Because it comes from inside out. It doesn't come from outside in. That's what she says. The effort to balance yourself is a great way to achieve fullness. This means to be happy, striving to find balance. And one way to find balance is to be grateful, dear listener. Joanna de Angelis wrote this book, Psychology of Gratitude. And there we're going to read a beautiful passage, Gratitude for Life. Life is a marvelous miracle of the universe, embedded in all imaginable expressions. Life is the law of love at work in its most profound meaning. Regardless of the designation one may attribute to its source, love constitutes a major challenge to intelligence, particularly with respect to its objective when it reaches the zenith in human beings. And she goes on explaining about how gratitude for life can be transformative. It goes hand in hand with this universal teaching that is spread out nowadays. Even the Dalai Lama talks about the importance of being grateful. So let us end the program today by expressing gratitude. And gratitude for the challenges, because the challenges will make us stronger. One day we'll be grateful to them. How about expressing gratitude as a way to acknowledging who we are, our relationship with God, our relationship with life, and everyone else. So let us then, dear listener, we invite you at this very moment. Join us. If you're driving, don't close your eyes, just feel it. Follow us with thoughts, feelings. If you're listening to this on demand, let us pray as well. Dear, beloved Mother, Father God, thank you for the opportunity of life, for creating us, for sustaining us, for guiding our lives, for sending our guardian angels who are taking care of us 24/7. It's unimaginable to have someone with so much zeal, care, love, unconditional love for us. Thank you especially for sending Joanna de Angelis and Divaldo Franco to our lives, illuminating our pathways, bringing to us a new understanding about life and love. And now I would like to dedicate this special moment for all those who are troubled, mentally speaking, and their caregivers. May they feel a light of loving and healing content envelop them. May our dear Monique and her son, her whole family, also receive this shower of healing light. Dear Father, Mother God, may the whole world receive this nourishment that now you pour onto us, and so be it. Dear listener, we hope you have enjoyed. I know we could stay here longer and longer, but I apologize for the impossibility today to stay longer and longer. But remember, Kardec Radio is here on demand all the time. And tomorrow at 8 p.m., we'll be here. Spiritist awareness for you at Kardec Radio. And we have several hosts giving to you the best in Spiritism. And also on Wednesdays, a beautiful program. Franziska Kranz in Germany and Mackenzie Mello in the United States, reading the book No Solar for you by Andrea Lewis and making comments. What a delight. And then on Thursday, Daniel Santos from Spiritist Network, streaming for you another beautiful Spiritist talk. And you know, there is much, much more, because next Saturday, we have a special guest. Our dear spiritualist friend Tom Kratzley will be here with us to talk about meditation, circles, home circles, and much, much more, all here at Kardec Radio for you, dear listener. We wish you lots of blessings. And remember, life is worth living always.
Thank you for listening to Kardec Radio, broadcasting live every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Email us and share your comments at www.kardecradio.com. Until next time, we wish you many blessings.